thinking, Jazz, why have you got a modern day scooter in the unit when you were meant to be doing a Vespa, an old one? Well, I'll tell you in a moment. So let's have a recap first. The Vespa, if you'd watched the last Vespa video, you would have seen that the frame of it is basically trash. So the Vespa, the plan for the Vespa was to have it as my show bike, as a demo piece for my airbrushing and artwork business. So it needed to have a good body on it.
Gee, baby, ain't I good to you?
Didn't matter if it wasn't running, didn't matter if it didn't have a title to it or whatever. We didn't get that. We got the non-runner and the no title, but the frame is trash. So we had a few options with it. Either cut it in half, lengthways or widthways, turn it into furniture or some wall art or whatever. Fill it all back up with filler and cover the rust and just keep it forever as just something to wheel around and not be ridden because it's unsafe, and not ever sell it on because you couldn't just sell that on and tuck someone else up with it. I think there was 4 options. There was a secret 5th option, and because the frame is absolutely knackered and needs, don't get me wrong, it can be repaired, but it would need a heap load of money spent on it and panels bought for it and time spent on it, and it's just not really worth doing that to restore it to as new condition when you could just go out and buy another one for probably less money than you would plow into it and have a good one. So secret option number 5, because it's knackered, well it makes sense that you can just do whatever you want with it and play about with it.
Oh, behave.
Now the scooter scene is no stranger to crazy custom creations. You got your choppers that they make from Lambrettas. Also, like the Vespas, they extend the front forks, and it reminds me of the gassers in America, where they get like Chevy Bel Airs and raise the front suspension and drag race them. They cut down them so that they're thinner. Lambrettas, they take all the panels off, so it's just a frame. They fit in mad engine conversions like Yamaha RD350s into them. Japan, they get the maxi scooters, like modern versions. They slam them down on air ride, the swing arms hanging out the back with the rear wheel. Crazy metal flake paint jobs, and all the fairings are cut down and it's very minimalist. Thailand and surrounding places, they do the same type of thing but with old Vespas. I've even seen them, they got like the front half of a Vespa and it's like a space frame go-kart rear end and bonkers. So what I thought I'd do is kind of go down the Thailand and Japanese route. We're starting with a Vespa, so it's like the Thailand. Although they go like the rat look, so I'm going to go more the Japanese way and have a awesome paint job. But like both of them, really low, swing arm and rear wheel hanging out the back of it. So it'll be probably a foot or 2 longer. So the idea is basically to put the Burgman engine and swing arm into this. That's the plan. You haven't got to like it. I found with the scootering scene that there's so many little small circles. You got like your purists and anything that isn't their cup of tea, they fucking hate it. And then you got the ones that do all the custom stuff. They don't mind the original stuff as well, but then you got just your Lambretta owners, they don't like Vespas and vice versa. And then you got like all the modern day kind of copying scooters. They're copying the old Vespas and Lambrettas, like the likes of Royal Alloy and such. Oh my god, no one likes them. I don't mind them. I like them, but that's what I've witnessed. Oh, but yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. There's gonna be plenty of people that are gonna hate it, but there you are. It's part of the scene, isn't it? If we were all the same, it'd be boring. So yeah, back to the maxi scooter. It is a 1999 Suzuki Burgman 400. I think it's an AN 400, something like that. So it's the Mark 1 shaped Burgman. They do a 250, I think, or 200, something like that. It's a smaller engine in this, and they also do a 650. Didn't want to go for the smaller engine one. I wanted something a bit beefier. But I didn't want the 650 either, because the way the suspension is set up on the 650 is kind of like a motorbike. So the shocks come off the furthest rear part of the swing arm and go upwards, whereas this is, I think it's got a monoshock, but it's further forward. You don't see it at the rear, so that works out better for my design plan. Single-sided swing arm as well, so that's a nice touch for it. Hopefully I'm not pissing off any Suzuki Burgman people in the groups there, but because it's a pretty good scooter, and it's a bit of a shame to strip it down for parts, but it makes sense to get a fully running scooter to then adapt into that, rather than buying the parts separate and then finding out then you're missing something, or how does that work and how does that fit and stuff like that. So at least we can strip this down, find out how it all works together, and then yeah, it's easier to go in that. And then plus any of the bits we don't need, like all the plastics and stuff, they can get sold and go into the budget to fund the Vespa. What I was also fortunate to pick up at a really good deal off one of the lads on the scooter group. I got a new front and floor for it, and we done a deal, so thank you, Lynn. I'm going to be painting his scooter in exchange for this. So the rust that's on the front and the floor of that'll all be going, and then that should reveal what's inside that area. Worst case scenario, or best, whatever way you look at it, I can possibly do like they do, like a Lambretta frame is, and put a bar inside that to strengthen it up. Because this is now a 400cc, so we're putting a 400cc into this frame that had a 150cc engine. Now, I know they're not like a superbike 400 or anything, but I think they're pretty torquey. We want it to be strong, so that's why I'm saying we might put a bar inside it. Because a lot of like the race boys put a bar across there to stiffen it up. So we got a few options. And I also got the horn panel in the deal as well, and the bit that goes on the front as well. So first thing we got to do to start this silly conversion is get some tools and then strip the Suzuki down. I haven't got a clue how to do it. I've never stripped down a scooter before, so I'm just going to start off by seeing what's visible and start from there.
Swagger down the street with your red lips and funky beat. You better hold your head up to the sky. I'm gonna roll with you till the day I die. Hey, swing those hips around. Can't stop, roll back down. My ladies, short, tall, thin or wide, always down and ready to ride. One by one, billion by billion, been holding up half the sky.
we're down to the bare bones of it. And yeah, if you've wondered what a Suzuki Burgman looks like without its body panels on, kind of reminds me of a Honda Ruckus on a large scale. I think that's quite cool. Imagine if you chopped, I don't know, the frame off by there and then just put a little seat on it. It would be like a massive Honda Ruckus. Well, that's the exhaust off. I've also removed the wiring loop and the pedal tank's loose. So's the rad and the front caliper. They're all loose, but there's certain things that are still in the way, preventing me from taking them off fully. So one thing I'm just interested in, before I strip it down any further, just want to know the length of what a Burgman is and the length of the Vespa, and then compare it to what the finished project is going to be at the end of it. So a Burgman is just over 2 meters, 2 meters 4 centimeters ish. And then it's a bit hard with the Vespa because I ain't got the front wheel on, so I'm just going to guess where the front wheel would end up. So the Vespa, I would say 165, 170 centimeters, something like that. So we'll keep those numbers saved on this video now, and then we'll, however long it takes for me to do this project,
2,000 years.
we can compare when that video is. Forks are off. That was easy. All the brake lines go into the back, they're all disconnected. The fuel tank's disconnected, but I can't get it out at the moment. I'm pretty sure, I thought it came out the front, but it can't. So, unless it comes out the front once the rear shock is off, possibly, or it's got to come out the back, which, if you've got a hole in your fuel tank, that's a bit of a kerfuffle. You got to take you got to take the whole bike apart to change your fuel tank. But there we are. I haven't got to worry about that, have I? So next thing, the engine's ready to come out now. So I've routed all the wiring that way, so it's not going to snag on anything. I'm pretty sure there's nothing else connected in terms of wiring or water pipes. They're all off as well. I've taken the bushes out of the side here, which I think they're like stabilizing bushes. So the only thing that's holding the engine in now is the linkage down there that goes to the rear shock, and this massive bolt that goes through the frame here, which is like the pivot point. Pivot! Like always, I do things like this when I'm on my own. Potentially it could go wrong, and my beamer's right by there as well, so I've been trying my best not to anything to fall into it. So yeah, I think I might pull this forward a bit, because obviously that's got to come out the back. We got water, brake fluid, petrol, all over the floor. Damn it, the other side's spinning. We slide that in there. Actually, I forgot. I gotta do the suspension mount first. I'm not sure if anyone's thought it yet, whether they're thinking doing things like this would be far easier with like electric impact guns and stuff rather than hand tools. Well, I'm not rich enough to have those kind of toys yet. So once I hit the big league on YouTube, then maybe I can afford things like that. Or maybe a company would be nice enough to sponsor me with some tools. Who knows? I should be so lucky. There's tension on this now, I can't get it flipping out. Pretty. That'll do it. This is where it all goes crash. Okay. It could be out. Yeah, it's out. Flipping petrol tanks, spewing petrol everywhere. There we go. One engine out. That's out, and that's what we're left with. A frame with fuel tank, rear suspension and kickstand basically, and the gas strap for the storage area. There's the front suspension. There's all the water system. Handlebars over there. Collect the coolant out of the radiator in a tub, and then proceed to kick the tub and kick the coolant all over the floor. Yeah, nice one. And that's what we're left with. So I got the fuel tank and the shock out in the end. Basically, you had to take the shock out, and it was the only welded on nut on the whole scooter that held on like major components. Everything else had a separate nut that you had to put a spanner on. So yeah, had to take that out, get the shock out of the way, and then yeah, the tank wiggled out of the front then. Bit of a silly design, but there we are. Here's all the lights and painted panels and speedos and exhausts and where you put your feet and stuff. By there, visor, seat, and then the rest of the plastics, the kickstands, the main stand, cargo tray. So all that lot that'll be up for sale. I don't need any of that stuff. So conversion options. Now obviously this engine, swing arm, rear wheel, well not that actual rear wheel, but you get what I mean, is going in that. But the rear wheel will be situated round about by here, so the engine is going to be within here. Option number one, we completely dismantle all the separate panels of the Vespa, keep this frame of the Suzuki pretty much how it is. We probably have to chop a few little bits out and stuff, and then just mount that around this. So it's basically like a wolf in sheep's clothing, kinda. it'd be a Suzuki Burgman wearing a Vespa coat. That's option 1. Option 2 is basically cut this frame down and keep this area that the engine bolts into. That's like the pivot point there, and probably keep the bottom area of it where the suspension linkage goes into. You could probably cut that off by there and off by there, so all that is going in the bin and the back end goes in the bin, and weld that into that. Obviously you have to cut some of the metal work away for that to fit in, obviously. So then we got like a butchered up Vespa frame body with a like Suzuki part of a space frame fitted into it. That's option 2. Option 3 is to not use that at all and make our own mounts and stuff for this. And we could possibly do it in a different orientation than what Suzuki designed. So that's the main mount and pivot point. Pivot! And then that is where the shock linkage goes. So possibly we could use that as a pivot point mount, and obviously we'd have to weld in kind of that kind of stuff into that for it to bolt into that, and then have framework coming off of this and having a monoshock coming off of this area.
Sam, what is he doing with his hand?
Which is a sort of layout of a Honda Ruckus, because they do this swing arms and rear wheels hanging out the back as well, and then that's where they got their shock. But I've seen a lot with them kind of by ear, and then obviously you'd have to strengthen up that area wherever the shock would go up into that area. So let me know which one you would go for, and there's I can see it now. There's gonna be people, I wouldn't pick any of them.
I don't care.
It's having one of them. We'll push the negativity aside. Which option would you go for? Let me know your thoughts. If you've done something like this before, let me know. If you've got any tips on it, put it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you do have any questions, then I'll answer them at the end of the next scooter video. So stay tuned for the next video where you find out which option I actually went for. If you haven't subscribed yet, click on the subscribe button. Catch you in the next one.